also like to introduce the new Deputy Chair, Councillor Mohammed Umair, and we will be working together on work around the Central Area Forum for the next year, as already mentioned. I would like to welcome you all very much to the meeting, and I hope that you all got a chance to speak to some of the stall holders. There were quite a few there today. And I hope that you found some of the advice and information quite helpful. Anyway, it is now just after 7:30, and we will now move to the formal part of the evening, and we will go through things that are on the published agenda that I hope most of you have been able to see. I would just like to state that this meeting, it is being recorded, and it will be made available for viewing quite soon, in the next couple of days, on the Hounslow Council's YouTube page. Okay, is that quite okay for everybody? I just want you all to be aware, if you're asking questions, you will be filmed. Thank you. Good evening to those of you who've just entered the room, and welcome. Right, for tonight's meeting, I as chair will be running the show and inviting people to speak. We do have a full agenda, but I will endeavour to allow as many people to speak as possible. With that in mind, I would like to ask all members of the public to please wait their turn and not interrupt when others are speaking, or even make any comments during that time, please. That's just good manners from all of us, I hope. Another thing is, if everybody could please avoid asking questions that have already been asked. And another thing, we would like everybody please not to discuss anything of a private or a personal matter. It may not always be possible for everybody here to ask a question due to the time constraints. However, if you do not get that chance, there are evaluation forms and all of the chairs, and you are able to write down your question and provide your email address. There is also, I just want to show you this. These are everywhere. If you scan these, it will take you to the Central Hounslow Area Forum's Let's Talk page, and you can submit anything over there. Okay? Thank you. Okay, so we're going to now start. We're going to agenda item 2. And I would just like to ask if there's any apologies for absence, any declarations of interest or other communications from members, please. Looks like a full house, so no. Brilliant. First and foremost, I would, however, like to thank the outgoing chair, Councillor Kiani, and the vice chair, Councillor Chopra, for the work they undertook last year and their leadership. So thank you very much. Agenda item 3. We now move on to the minutes from the last meeting. This was the 24th of March. I'm not going to go through them all page by page, but I'm just going to ask if the members are happy to agree them. Agreed. Thank you. Right, we now move on to agenda item 4. This is the Community Spotlight. Hounslow Methodist Church presents Cafe Together. The first presentation is by Steve Joyce and Reverend Heflin. They are from Hounslow Methodist Church, and they're going to be sharing and explaining what it is that they do at the Cafe Together programme. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody, and thank you to Amoy in particular for the chance to tell you about Cafe Together. To understand what we do, let me just move on a slide here, if I may. Am I pressing the right button? Obviously not. Okay. Thank you. Will I be able to click it onto the next one? Okay. Thank you very much indeed. That's great. Okay. Cafe Together. Thank you very much for the invite. To understand what we do, we need to take you back about 12 years to 2012, 2013. A number of churches across this borough were noticing a real spike in the level of rough sleeping, people sleeping in parks, shop doorways, and even in our own churchyards as well. And many of us were very concerned about that and wanted to do something about it. Without quite knowing what we were doing or where it would take us, and with a simple referral process, we decided that we would open our churches at night to rough sleepers. What did we offer them? Well, we offered a very hearty two-course meal, a makeshift bed for the night, as you can see on the slide, and a breakfast early the next morning. And we set up a charity to oversee this called the Shelter Project Hounslow. Hounslow Methodist Church in Bell Road, probably about 5 minutes walk from this building, was one of the first churches to open its doors. And volunteers from my own church, St Mary's in Osterley, joined forces with members of the church in Bell Road to set up a shelter. And 12, 13 years on, we're still working together and still talking to each other, I think, as well. Over the next couple of years, we were really on quite a rapid learning curve. And as more churches joined us, we were able to ensure that the shelters were open from the beginning of December to the end of March. We had some pretty simple rules as to how we would operate, but we wanted to help anyone regardless of their background or immigration status. After a while, money started to trickle in from donations as we got a bit better known, and also we had a grant from the council too. And we used that to employ somebody part-time to help our guests find work, and also to find somewhere more settled to live. And we had a fair degree of success with that. Now, if any of you have been involved in a project like this, you know that it's not just the work, but it also changes you as a volunteer and as a person. And what I came to realise, and what my fellow volunteers came to realise, was that your life can fall apart. You can lose your home. You can lose everything in the blink of an eye. And arising out of all this work over these years, what I've learnt is that I'm not going to judge anybody around me. In 2017, we were nominated for an award that I had never heard of. The Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. I'm told this is sort of like an MBE for voluntary organisations. An assessor came to see our work at Hounslow Methodist Church, and in his report said that when he was there, he couldn't tell the difference between the volunteers and the guests who were together. And that is exactly what we wanted. Not us actually giving charity to somebody, but us all sitting down together for a meal, those who were volunteering and those who were guests. Then, of course, everything changed in March 2020, and on the advice, or rather the instruction of the council, we had to shut down immediately because of lockdown. I'm going to let my colleague Reverend Heflin now take over.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. And thank you, everyone, and good evening to everyone. Thank you, Steve, for sharing the beginnings of the shelter project in Hounslow. As Steve mentioned, Hounslow Methodist Church on Bell Road were among the first to open their doors to those in need for the shelter project in Hounslow, with the help from volunteers from Hounslow Methodist Church and St. Mary's Church in Australia. Thereafter, after pandemic, we launched Cafe Together to extend a warm welcome, shared meals, and friendly conversation to everyone in our borough with help from Shelter Project Hounslow and St. Mary's Church in Austerley. So what we do at Cafe Together. So Cafe Together takes place every Tuesday at Hounslow Methodist Church on Bell Road. You can see from the picture. And our goals are very simple. All are welcome. Each week we welcome around between 20 to 35 guests, including regulars and newcomers, individuals of all ages, background, and abilities. We cater to diverse dietary needs by offering nutritious meals, including vegetarian and vegan dishes and gluten-free choices. We are also creating a welcoming space for conversation to bring everyone together and reducing isolation. We also offer a free Wi-Fi and mobile charging. That's, I think most of the guests, they use this facility and very happily enjoy their evening meals. We are heavily reliant on our volunteers team. We are powered by a big friendly group of volunteers from across Hounslow and beyond. Together, we plan menus that balance taste and nutrition. We cook, serve, clear our dishes, and washing up. And the volunteers sit down with the guests to listen, chat, and connect. Cafe Together has quickly become more than just a free meal. Each volunteer brings warmth and dedication, making Cafe Together a space of kindness. Every Tuesday, we witness people live brighter, happier, fuller, and more connected than when they arrived. We also do other projects, and same like Cafe Together, on Friday, we do similar projects like Cafe Together. We call it Welcome Place. Earlier, it was called Warm Place. The project started to help the local communities during the cost of living crisis, where guests can come for hot drinks and snacks, lunch, and relax, and they can sit in a warm place. We continue our project as Welcome Place now, where we are bringing communities together in warm and friendly environment. We are also collecting clothes for St. Luke's Clothing Bank and collecting food for Storehouse Feltham to help and support the local communities. And our church is a fair trade church, an eco-friendly church. And thank you for your time. And now I will hand back to Steve for his closing remarks.
Thank you, Heflin. Just two things to finish up with. First of all, just a little shout out to the chairman of our trustees, Jennifer Corbyn. Where are you, Jennifer? Okay, could you just raise your hand? Okay, Jennifer does a great job keeping us all in order. And just, Cafe Together is very different to the shelter. And sometimes I've thought to myself, are we still doing something that's worthwhile? I had a conversation in January with one of our regular guests, and I said to him, how was your Christmas? This was in January. How was your Christmas? And he said, well, you were there. You were there on the 19th of December when we had our Christmas meal at Hounslow Methodist Church. And I thought, yeah, I was. That was your Christmas. Since the 19th of December, I've been fortunate enough to have Christmas with friends and family. The 19th of December was that particular man's Christmas. And so I thought, yeah, we're doing something that's worthwhile here.
Thank you very much for that presentation. You most definitely are doing something that's worthwhile to so many. I've got to say that just looking at the presentation, there is probably nothing more gratifying than seeing smiling faces. And most definitely the biggest accolade would surely be in the assessors not being able to differentiate between the clients and the volunteers. So well done to all of you. If anybody, well, I'd like to ask any of the councillors first if they have any questions, and then I will ask from the floor. Councillor Gariwal, please.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good presentation. You said something about nationality or immigration status. I have had experience on Montague Road, just opposite the police station. Those people were there in winter, were not taken in by the church because they are illegal in this country. Do you take the illegal people there as well?
I don't know which particular church you're referring to, councillor, I have to say. But when we operated a night shelter, then we were taking in anybody. And we were a group of people that pretty much operated the night shelter through volunteers, not through paid staff. So we felt ourselves free to operate in the way that we wanted to. Other organisations who I cannot speak for, other churches or faith groups who I cannot speak for, may decide to operate things in a different way. I'm afraid that's up to them, but I can't answer for them.
Councillor Ajmer Gariwal, please.
Thank you. It's absolutely amazing what you are doing. I just wanted to ask, is it in the pipeline to open the night shelter again this winter, or funding, or what's happening with it? How?
Councillor, no, there is no plans to reopen a night shelter. We are now committed to this work at Cafe Together. I don't want to be blasé here, but the night shelter was an incredibly labour-intensive thing to do, and we were all volunteers. And I'm now about sort of 10 years older from when I started all this, and I simply can't do a 16-hour shift again. So my energies have gone down, and I think we've decided we've moved on, and there is other provision in Central Hounslow for night shelters, and there are no plans for us to replace that.
Anybody else? Would any members of the public like to ask any questions? If so, a mic will be brought to you. That's a first. I actually have a question, if you don't mind. How does a person come along? Do they just sort of literally walk in? Do they need to be referred? Is there somewhere that, you know, people just literally walk in off the street? You know, is it word of mouth, please?
Yes, indeed, it is word of mouth. And this, some of the guests is known our church from last 5 years, 7 years. Some are regular, some are just when we put a display board outside that everyone welcome for this project, Cafe Together, and they just turn in. So every week we have 1 or 2 new, and the most of them are regular, and they are telling each other that are spreading the word through mouth. Yes, yeah.
Yes. Can you pass the mic to this to Jean, please, in the front row?
I don't think I need a mic. Hi. I would like to ask, can anybody tell anybody that they meet? I deal a lot with the parks, and quite often we have rough sleepers in the parks, even now. And is it possible for me to say, if you pop along on a Tuesday, then there will be a hot meal?
Yes, all are welcome. And we don't check anyone's documents. You know, there's a church, it's open
Sorry,
for all.
Yes. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The gentleman at the back, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. It's a question for both Steve and Heflin. I've been emailing for the past 2 weeks in regard to volunteering, and I haven't heard anything back. Could you explain if I can do some volunteering for 2 hours? Thank you.
We're happy to have that conversation with you, Eunice.
Nobody else? Okay, well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Steve and Reverend Heflin. Thank you for the presentation. Did you want one? It's too late now, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the next agenda is the Community Spotlight Shore Trust. And this is another presentation, and I'd like to thank you for coming along this evening and to explain and share about the work that you do.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. So I wanted to take the time today to talk about our program Connect to Work. So my name is Massimo. So I work with the Shore Trust. We are a charity organisation that are based nationally. Myself, I work across the Hounslow borough for employment services for people with health conditions. So a little bit of why I do the job that I do. So I was in a time of my life a few years ago where I had a career set out for me, and as someone mentioned earlier, things can kind of get taken away from you at a blink of an eye. And that can cause a lot of mental health, anxiety, stress, and other kind of issues around cost of living and so on. And we do kind of resonate with a lot of our participants on the programs who have gone through similar things. We do have a team of people that have a lot of lived experience in going through short-term or long-term unemployment. So I was actually a participant on a program similar to this a few years ago, and through other work coaches, employment specialists and employment advisors, we were able to talk about different career opportunities for myself as well as other people that were being supported by the same program. And it's a very nice opportunity to be in the job that I am now, to kind of give back to other people who are experiencing unemployment challenges. So Connect to Work itself, it is a government-funded program through the DWP. So we support anyone who is unemployed or economically inactive, specifically people that do have a health condition, whether that's physical, mental health, or neurodiverse, or a mixture of all, or those who are part of disadvantaged groups, which I will kind of share with you in the next couple of slides. So we are supporting people primarily who are out of work. That is going to be the larger client base that we have, although we do support people who are currently working and maybe struggling to maintain their roles as a result of their health conditions, whether that's something they have shared with their employer or not. It could also be supporting people who are self-employed as well, or people who are at risk of losing their job or signed off by their GP. So this is a contract that we launched on the 1st of May. So we're still in the early phases, but we have run many different employment contracts around West London before. This one in particular is a 5-year contract where we're looking to support over 10,000 residents over that time in West London alone, hopefully a lot more. So I wanted to talk through a bit of the customer journey. So when someone does get referred into us, and that referral can be a self-referral, it can be through healthcare professionals, it can be through coming up to me and asking me that you want to come and sign on to the program. We have many different ways for you to come onto that program. So once you're assigned to a dedicated professional, so that could be for Hounslow, myself or my team member, we will provide that tailored one-to-one support with you to help you find sustained employment. So what we mean by tailored support is that this is not about just saying, here are jobs that you could apply for. It's really about looking at your interests, your aspirations, what you would like to do, what fits around your current lifestyle. So we get to know you as much as possible to kind of know how to match jobs to what your needs and circumstances are. We also want to be the kind of link between employers and other support services or healthcare professionals as well. So as we do have a wellbeing focus to our contract, we want to have a holistic view of how to support people back into employment. So that means if a GP, healthcare professional, neurologist, or even your local community support providers can be a part of that journey, we'd love to be involved with them and give you that holistic support. So ways in which we do support people. So this is just a very small list of the many things that we do and that do come up over your journey. So if we're looking at pre-employment support, we start off with what we call vocational profiling. So this is really about getting to know you, what jobs you are looking for, what your interests are, what jobs could we match based off of those interests, where would you like to work, how far do you want to travel, pretty much anything about you in terms of what kind of job you're looking for and how your health could impact your ability to work or that you have experienced before. We can talk through that. Once we have that information, we can look through matching you with recommended jobs. We can also discuss with you around sharing health conditions with employers if that's something that you would like to do. So you are very much in control as to what you do want to share or don't want to share with people, and what we can do on your behalf if we're talking to employers or engaging with employers on your behalf. We can also look at things like better off calculations, so what happens to your universal credit, especially if there's a housing element, if you take on a job at a certain salary or at certain hours, and we can look and test at different scenarios. CV tailoring is going to be quite a big one. So we will help you to create a brand new CV or update an existing one, but we make sure that we look at tailoring the CV specific to the job that you're applying for, so that it gives you a much better chance to get through to interview stages. We will give quite hands-on support in terms of applications. So if you're someone who does need someone to sit with you and go through the application with you, whether that's to read and explain what the application means and or is asking you, or to help you fill out that application form with you, that's something that we can spend the time doing. We will also look at action planning. So we do very much want this to be a partnership between yourself and your employment specialist. This isn't a school teacher kind of approach where we say, right, this is what you have to do, this is your homework. This is about sitting with you, doing it together. I will have responsibilities to do on your behalf, as you will have some things to do in order to kind of challenge yourself in terms of looking, applying or searching for those jobs. And it's all about us helping you to become self-sufficient as well for when that program ends. We will also look at interview support. So whether that's generally or if you have an interview coming up, mock interviews are one of my specialities. So we can design a mock interview around the interview that you have coming up. We can test your answers. We can look at how to kind of tell more stories in your answers, and also kind of look at your body language and things like that. Job searching strategies is a very interesting one. So whilst a lot of people do search for jobs online nowadays, for us it's very much about putting you in front of the employer face to face, so that you're not just a CV or a bit of paper amongst hundreds of others. So some things that we can do is go out with you to local high streets, local businesses, walk in with you, support you in having those conversations with managers of these businesses. Maybe there's jobs that haven't been advertised yet. Maybe there are jobs that could be created on your behalf based on your skills and your experience. So we look to do as many kind of face-to-face employer engagements as possible with you where we can, or also on your behalf. When it comes to in-work support, so we do support people for up to 12 months for the whole program. When you do find a job with us, we don't just want to close the door and say, great, we've both done our jobs, hope you're happy. This is very much about helping you sustain that job for a long period of time. So we will work with you to put together in-work support plans. looking at every task that you have to do in the role. Will there be challenges? Where could those challenges be? What support would you need to put in place in order to fulfill that role? Job coaching is something that we will do as well. So where we can engage with your line managers or the organisation that you're working for, we want to be part of that journey with you and them. We want to be able to educate them in how to best support you within that role, whether that's through reasonable adjustments, whether that's how they train you, and making sure that those reasonable adjustments are always put in place. So that kind of covers job and task analysis as well. Career development is something that's going to be really important to you. So even though you're going into a job, for some it may be the first time, that we're also looking at what the next step is going to be. So it's not just, yes, you've got this job, I hope you have that for the next 12 months. It's, well, what's the next step? Is there a way that you can be promoted? Is there a different department you can work in as you look at developing your career? We can also support with managing challenges within the workplace. So some people, they may not always share their health conditions with their employers, and maybe the time has come to do that, but not sure how to approach that conversation. That's something we can get involved and help with. We can, if the employer allows, represent them or represent you within disciplinary hearings or grievances. So anything that we can do to kind of be that middle ground between you and the employer to manage any challenges is where we can do some of our best work. In terms of continuous support, so this is something that we do whether you're still looking for work or in work. As I mentioned, employer engagements. It's very important that we are out there face-to-face with employers on your behalf as much as possible. You're more than welcome to come to job fairs with us, as well as us taking you around to local businesses. We will try and build relationships with employers as much as possible. We do have a national accounts team, so on more partnership level, they may be able to source jobs that are not advertised yet that we can have first access to, or maybe some guaranteed interview schemes. We will liaise with health professionals, local community groups, your circle of support as well. So anyone that's involved in supporting you, if that's something that they want to, or you want them to be involved in terms of your employment journey, we can be that link together as well. So if it's meeting with your social care workers, if it's meeting with your GP, if it's meeting with your parents or your sister or someone who cares for you, could be anyone that has that involvement. If it helps you on your journey to getting back into work, we will help support in that way. We will also work together with local job centres as well. So we have good relationships with the disability employment advisors as well as the work coaches. So they would like to know sometimes how we are supporting you, what progress has been made. We can work together with a shared vision of what kind of jobs you're looking for. And if there is any kind of further benefit advice or access to universal credit that you need, we can work with them to make sure that that's clear for you and how you would make those claims. So really why we do this and what we want to focus on with this contract is to ensure that people with disabilities can make a positive contribution to the workplace. So again, this is not just about getting people into jobs, it's making them active members of their local communities. That people have access to competitive long-term paid employment with good wages. So we're not looking to kind of promote or support people into 1-month contracts or 0-hour contracts, whilst that can be a stepping stone to a greater goal. But this is really about focusing on long-term permanent employment where possible. We really want to help support people to find jobs that meet their goals and aspirations. So we will get to kind of know you, what your interests are, what you would like to do, maybe things that you have liked in previous jobs, skills that you would like to use in the future. So then that way you're passionate about what you do. You're waking up, going into work, loving what you do. As I said before, it's really important that we ensure you have choice and control over your career aspirations through that personalised support. So we are participant-led. we lead by you, what you're looking for. As mentioned before, partnering with family healthcare professionals and communities and employers for all-round support. And another thing that we really aim to do by meeting or building these relationships with employers is actually promoting and educating them on how to support people with health conditions. So whilst there is a disability confidence scheme, not every company is on that scheme. Not every company can be as confident as they do make out. So for us, it's looking at how can we educate them on doing better for you and for everyone else. So in terms of eligibility criteria, so we will support anyone who is disabled or has a disability or long-term health condition as defined by the Equality Act 2010 or as part of a special disadvantaged group with additional complex needs. So those disadvantaged groups could be being an ex-offender. So we really do look at zero exclusion. So we're not here to kind of exclude people based on their previous history. We will try and look at how we can work with that person to get a job that matches them or their aspirations. So yes, we can support ex-offenders with disclosing criminal record histories and looking at what their journey has been since that. Carers and ex-carers, someone who is experiencing or currently at risk of homelessness. If someone does have any substance dependencies, we can work with those people as well. If there's anything that we can't support ourselves through our own programs, then we will look at where we can refer you into services alongside our employment support. So it's never about moving you on somewhere else. It's about looking at all the different service providers that can support you at the same time that you're getting employment support from us. Care leavers, those with refugee statuses, but we do require that people have access to public funds. So that would depend at what stage they're at. And anyone who is a victim or survivor of domestic abuse or modern slavery. So whether you're claiming universal credit or not, that's fine, as long as you are unemployed or at risk of dropping out of work, aged over 18, have the right to work and live in the UK, are not on any other Department of Work and Pension employment programs, so Restart, which is normally coordinated through the Job Centre, would be one of those. And that you have access to public funds, we'll be able to work with you. So we do have some details there on how to refer into us. As this is on the presentation, I am outside in the marketplace for a little bit longer today. So if you do want to come and speak to me about your circumstances or refer someone that you know, I'm more than happy to stick around and have that conversation with you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Massimo. That's a huge variety of things that you do, actually. I do have questions, but I will ask mine after the other councillors. So, Councillor Ajmer-Garibald, please.
Thank you. Thank you. That was fantastic. A lot of work you do there, especially the CV writing. That's one thing I could never, ever do. Always needed help with that. Anyway, you said you aim to support over 10,000 residents over the 5 years. I know you haven't been going long, but how many referrals or self-referrals have you had so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure on the exact amount, but I do know for Hounslow, Hillingdon and Harrow, I think there's somewhere between 700 and 1,000 from what I know of. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, can I? Yeah. First of all, what was I going to say? You said, you said something about you can get to jobs which haven't been advertised yet. Does that mean that you have a list of businesses and employers who are willing to take people, like, say, on your list you've got offenders or...
So it works in a couple of ways. So there's a lot of us going out there and building those relationships with employers. But we do have a national accounts team, so this is probably more what you're referring to. The national accounts team, so they are there to create partnerships with local businesses nationally as well as in West London. So, for example, OCS, Leonardo Hotels are two that we're working with at the moment. So they may be jobs that are advertised, or we might get first priority. But because they're coming through our partnership, they're more likely to get guaranteed interviews, or just better, what's the word I'm looking for, like kind of better control over their application. So there's less of not hearing back from an employer for weeks on end and not knowing where your application is. We'll get that feedback as to why their application hasn't been successful, if that is the case.
Okay, just one last one, please. Sorry. This is just a cheeky one. Why is it called the Shore Trust? It doesn't say anything about employment or anything. It doesn't give you an idea of where you're, who you're approaching, and where are you based?
So I can't answer the first question. I haven't been in the job long enough for that. So in terms of where we're based, so we are more kind of West Midlands in terms of our main office, but we do have offices around London. So our main one, Shepherd's Bush, we do have a smaller office just off the Bath Road here in Hounslow, which used to be the Work and Health Programme office. But in terms of us, how we work, we're very much community focused. So if you can call it my office, Hounslow Arts Centre, that is where I tend to do most of my meetings. So they're very generous in giving us that space to kind of work with their local communities as well. We do sometimes meet people within the council building downstairs in the cafe areas, the libraries, the Holy Trinity Church as well. So we are community focused. We have the flexibility to go out there and meet people in their local communities. We don't do house visits, but if it's a local cafe or if they need a more private space, we are able to kind of find those places. But it's very much through community outreach that we find them.
Thank you. I'm going to take a question from Councillor Umair, then Councillor Mia, and then Councillor Chopra, please, in that order. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. I think just want to say that it's a great initiative that you're doing, particularly in today's time. I think there will be a lot of I think residents, particularly in the London Borough, will be struggling, and I think you're providing the right tools, particularly for the aspect where you're targeting people who are less of, for example, the disabled. I know a resident who had I think bike crash and has been struggling to get on the job ladder. So I think it's a great initiative. The two questions I have is, firstly, I think the council asked how do somebody approach you, and I think you've already mentioned that, but the other question I would have is, do you normally advertise on libraries, job centres with your kind of services? And I'll also chuck the follow-up for you. Or do you just provide CV and other kind of services, or do you happen to have like training for basic use of computer facilities like Microsoft Word and Excel and that kind of thing as well?
Okay, we can work backwards. So in terms of training and stuff like that, so as I mentioned before, if it's something that we can't support ourselves, because we are just giving more the employability skills here. So there might be things that we can personally teach someone. So if it's digital skills, how to write a CV or how to write a letter, how to send an email and attach something, those things we can teach that person ourselves. If it's anything that's kind of out of our remit or expertise, our job is to look at local training providers, so such as like Digital Champions within Hounslow Council, for example, somewhere that we do often refer people into, so that they can kind of get those skills or training. West Thames College, there might be some like courses going there. There are other training providers that do work placements, so Springboard is one of them, where they will learn hospitality skills for 5 weeks and then do a 1-week work placement. So that's where we try and look in terms of training providers. Remind me of the other two questions.
Basically, I know you said that you've got people come up to you and you've got offices based around the borough. Do you also kind of advertise your services in like the local libraries or job centres where somebody can?
Yeah, we do. So, we advertise with the health outreach team, for example. So they've known of us from different contracts. They have our leaflets as of today as well. there's Hounslow Connect as well, so I'll be putting ourselves on there quite shortly. We do advertise through word of mouth, so as we kind of build more relationships with community centres, as people come to them with, oh, I'm looking for a job or something's happened, they will know to refer them over to us. And really it's about the more we engage in community projects, especially like area forums or community development networks, that's where we start to do the outreach with other service providers that can be part of that employment journey as well. So they're also helping us to advertise the service. So we try and get out and about as much as possible.
No, great work. Thank you.
Yeah, that seems to be very new services. When it was launched, 1st of May, 2025?
Yeah, for this contract specifically. But we have run, so we were doing West London Works before, which was running for about 2 years. We've had Work and Health Programme, which was way before my time. So we have run employability programmes for quite some time.
Okay, I understand you support disadvantaged and unemployed and also self-employed. How exactly do you help them to connect to work opportunities? Who are your main employment contacts?
Okay, so main employment contacts, I think that's probably something we'd have to be careful about how much we can say in the public forum, but we do try and work with as many local businesses as possible to build those strategic partnerships with them. So we would look at all across West London, big providers, that could be somewhere like, business parks, places of interest where there's a lot of job opportunities. We'll try and build those partnerships with them there. What was the first half of your question again, sorry?
No, you said that local businesses, so you have information how many local businesses are actually seeking for the staff? You have that information?
Not myself personally, but if that's something you wanted, we could look into how to get that information to you.
Thank you, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Massimo, for your presentation. It's very good. This is the problem with being last on the list. Everybody else has asked all my questions for me. I was going to ask, how do you advertise and how do people get to know you, which I think you've covered by my previous colleagues. And also I was going to ask about training, which has also been asked. So the other thing I was going to ask is, do you actually advertise on our website, on the council website? Because that would be far-reaching.
So I'm not sure. I know we do through the Hounslow Connect directories. I'm not sure how much we're on the main websites, but that would be something that's very good to explore with you, I think, to look at how we can do that.
Sure. I think you have some councillors here that are in Cabinet might be able to help you with that.
Brilliant.
I was actually going to just put a little bit of light on, somebody asked the question about Shore Trust and what it means. Was that yourself, Chair? No, it was Councillor Gurewal. I know a little bit about you twinned with Twinning Hestia, and Twinings
yeah.
is a tea company, and in the old days they set up a trust, a foundation, and then they joined with Hestia, which was also another trust, and now they've joined with Shore Trust, which may be either a person or a business in the past, and now they've all grouped together. But they're usually foundations and trusts that join together.
That wasn't the question. The question was, it's got nothing employment in it.
No, it may not have, but it's just historical, isn't it?
Thank
So
you
that's
very
where they
much
come
for that
from.
snippet of information. Councillor Batty.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Massimo, for very informative presentation. Thank you. Just a question is, how many people do you have in the organisation as a whole?
Oh, so as a whole, it's quite big. I mean, I think there's well over 500 staff. In terms of our teams, so where we're kind of delivering at the moment, I think we're around 30 or 40. So I know there's for Hounslow, Hillingdon and Harrow, we're about kind of 9-10 people. And then, yeah, of course, there's quite a lot. But what we're doing, as we get more referrals, we build that team. The more staff members we have, the more team leaders we will also have as well to manage and cover that. So,
and
yeah.
How are you funded?
So it's all our own. Well, it's DWP funded for this contract. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. When you say you work in partnership with Job Centre, do you refer people to them, or they send to you to
Well, so it's more them referring into us, but it can be the other way around as well. So an example of that would be if someone wanted to claim universal credit or didn't know if they were entitled to claim universal credit, we can do an entitlement calculation with them. We can then help them with their universal credit claim. Once they're assigned a work coach, we can kind of work with that work coach at that point, introduce them, look at what the plans of support would be. We can go through those entitlements to make sure that they are given the correct, why does the calculation say that you're entitled to 1,200, but you're only getting 400, that kind of thing. So like where have they gone wrong potentially? Is there more that they can be entitled to? So yeah, we do want to work quite closely with those job centres. There are opportunities where we get to sit within that job centre as well. So whether that's attending their Thursday group meetings for people who are over, so there's a over 50s group, and then there's also the health and wellbeing group. So we can present in those group meetings. We can advertise through that way. We have work coaches who come out to us all the time and ask us how participants are getting on. So as long as the participant's happy for us to share that information, we do try and keep everything as confidential as we can. If they're happy for us to share, we can do that.
Good. And finally, you mentioned a lot, this is all about disadvantaged. What about if a normal person who is desperate for CV or some advice from you people, would you entertain those as well?
Well, so for this, because this is a government-funded contract from the DWP, there are very, the criteria is very select for them. So they have to meet that eligibility criteria, and we have to prove that they meet that eligibility criteria. What I mean by that is we have asked the questions and they've given us the answers that are on there. We don't ask for proof of health condition, so we're not asking them to show us GP letters or anything like that. It can be self-declared. But as long as they are saying to us that they meet those eligibility criteria, we will work with them. If we do have someone that does refer into us and they don't meet the eligibility criteria, it is still our duty of care to recommend other services that would be more beneficial. So we want to have an open door policy. We don't just want to reject people because they don't meet that criteria. If there are services we know of, so in these cases, Work Hounslow is probably one of the biggest ones we would refer into because they would be able to offer that support if we weren't able to.
Finally, Councillor Kiani, please.
Thank you, Chair. Massimo, thank you for a very good presentation. I just wanted to know, because you have mentioned quite a few boroughs you are working with. If someone from Hounslow Borough contact you, where do you meet them? Do you have where is your base,
So we do have, if they want a private space, we do have an office just off of the Bath Road. Generally, the contract is to be out in the community and to be as close to their local communities as possible. So depending on what their preferences are, would be local community centres, libraries, can be coffee shops. We do pay for coffee as well. So anywhere that is within their local community that they're happy to meet and is also safe for us to bring a laptop out, for example. So Hounslow Arts Centre is one of the main places that I will work out of in central Hounslow, if not downstairs in the cafe areas or in the library in the council building. If I'm in Feltham, it could be Feltham Library. If I'm in Kew Bridge or Brentford, it could be a Costa Coffee. Yeah, it helps them feel comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you. Now I'd like to go over to any of the residents. If anybody has a question, please raise your hand. The gentleman at the back first, please, and then the gentleman in the green T-shirt. Thank you.
Good evening, Massimo. It's Eunice here. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing some job searching online, and I've come across two organisations that you've just mentioned, which were the
You're talking about the hotels?
The hotels, yeah. And the one I just mentioned, Marks and Spencer's.
Okay.
And they haven't got back to me yet, so I'm still waiting to hear back from them. And I'm also applied for West Middlesex Hospital as well. So I'm in the process in September of joining their organisation very soon. But hopefully, if it's paid or not, I should find out in September. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of quite a common thing that people do have when looking for jobs is maybe not hearing back from employers. So what we try and do is look at what is that process. So is it down to the way the CV has been written? Does it meet the criteria of the job? You know, how well does it match what the employer is looking for in terms of your skills, your personality, your experience? Where we can, we want to try and drive as much feedback from those employers as possible to kind of know where the barriers or the stumbling blocks may be and how we can try and remove them. So it can be any one issue. If you don't get feedback from the employer, it's quite hard to know that. But what we're trying to do is make sure that we are putting your best foot forward at each point. Hello.
Thank you very much. In terms of the people you've supported so far recently, are there any common patterns in job titles or size of business that you might be able to share with us?
That's a very good question, actually. Yeah, so it kind of depends on the person's circumstances. So we do find that probably a lot more people are maybe looking for more part-time roles at the moment. So that's whether there is an impact of their health condition, or maybe if they have childcare responsibilities, for example, they might need to work around school runs. So sometimes that can perhaps, I don't want to say limit, but it can narrow down maybe the choices that are available. So working in schools, for example, or working more flexible 0-hour contracts. But again, it's kind of looking at, well, what is that person's interest to broaden that range? Because a lot of the time people think that they're only good enough to do certain jobs. What we want to try and do is break that perception and say, well, actually, here are a whole other range of jobs or employers that are willing to support you in doing something that's more enjoyable for you. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Jean, please.
I think you asked it at the very, very end. You kept saying we have a contract. The contract is for 5 years, but you didn't say who the contract was with. Not until the very, very end, I don't think. Not unless I missed it. So it's with the DWP.
Yeah, so that was something that was mentioned at the beginning, to say that we're a government-funded provision or contract. Yeah, so that is with the DWP. You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, well, then I'd like to thank Massimo. It was an excellent presentation and very varied. Thank you very much. Okay, now we come to the exciting part of the whole meeting, which is the open forum. Before we start, we have already received quite a few questions in advance, and we have asked officers to respond. I'm not going to read them all out. I will do one and give the answer to that one. You are then also able to raise any other issues that you so choose. The one I would like to address is from Denny Santimano, and who asked 5 or 6 questions, and I thought this one was sort of more pertinent to more people here. What specific measures is the council actively implementing to support sustainability and to reduce reliance on private vehicles in Hounslow? That's obviously a very hot topic right now. So the answer was, the Hounslow Transport Strategy sets out a range of measures to reduce reliance on private vehicles. These include, but are not limited to, investment in the cycle network, created segregated cycle route, including infrastructure in Hounslow West, free cycle training for all residents in the borough, introduction of e-bike services in the borough, which I'm sure you've all seen, development of public transport plans to help ensure our public transport network is fit for the future, accessibility improvements at rail and underground stations, ensuring public transport is accessible for all. As I say, we have received many questions, and I would like to just name not just Denny, but we have received questions from Nina Malik and from, I will just get you the other name in particular. But as I say, they will receive a proper response in the next few days. I do have here, I know there's going to be some residents here who were promised a response, and actually Ben, our ward improvement manager, was going to be here this evening to give the response. However, he is unavoidably unable to attend. He is unwell, but there will be a response sent to those residents. So apologies for that right now. Right. I would just like to ask you once again to please raise your hand. A mic will be handed to you, and if we could refrain from sort of any repetition for the questions, please. Buddy? No at all. Okay. That was absolutely okay. I was starting to panic there because that was an absolute first. Okay, we've had you. Pardon? Wait until you receive the mic, please. And actually, we'd just like questions, if possible, please. Thank you. Would you hand the mic to the lady in front there?
I am Mrs. Alag. I've been living Hounslow very, very long, 65 years, 67 years. But Hounslow is changed now. Hounslow is not same. Even you go in the park, it's not same. People pissing, spitting, and dogs, all the shit, they don't bother to be take things. And Hounslow, when you come in the high street, around the corner, all rubbish here. So, you know, we live Hounslow Borough. Hounslow is good, but the people, they made all that mess. You should put a big fine, then maybe they stopped. Otherwise, this is going to be nothing change. Nothing going to be changed, Hounslow. I don't think so. Even you have a 100th meeting.
I will. Okay, thank you for your comments. And Councillor Chowdhury will answer, and then Councillor Gariwal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. I think Hounslow is everyone's. We've had this conversation at the Cabinet question time as well, and there was very interesting chats we had. And straight after that, I think I was really glad we completely understand about the fines when residents tells us to put fines, send fine or fine people. Currently, I think we've already, we have been issuing fine, not just on fly tipping and the people even throwing a cigarette butt, for example. So with the parks, our team has been doing a great work overall. With the High Street recently, Councillor Grewal and Councillor Ajmer Grewal with Shivraj Grewal, I think it was 4 days ago, they were out speaking to businesses and making sure that the people are there, the staff is there to clear High Street. But if I'll be really honest, I think it's everyone's job and duty. If you guys see anyone who is doing fly tipping, please do report it to us. Report it to your local councillors, speak to us, or just on Fix My Street. I think there is a £1,000 fine recently at the Midsummer Avenue. Myself and Councillor Rahman, we've dealt with the huge fly tipping, and what happened when we sent the fines to people where we found there was addresses and stuff, we've had another issue to deal with. It was not us. So I basically say to people, like, if you are asking someone to come and collect your rubbish, make sure it's a well-known company and make sure you are getting all the details in for the people who are collecting your waste, for example, the ones which is the heavy or massive waste. But with High Street, I can reassure everyone who is here, we're trying our level best. And I was really proud of all the ward councillor. Councillor Bhatti was there as well the other day. And we'll make sure and we'll carry on doing what we can do. But we need everyone's support here. Hounslow is not just mine. Hounslow is not just for the councillors who are here. Hounslow is all of our, and we all live here. We all have responsibility towards Hounslow. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gariwal.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add on to that, first of all, yes, High Street meeting was very successful. There were officers from Hounslow Highways, Council, all the ward councillors, all 3 councillors were there, with the lead member as well. And we noted lot of things wrong in the High Street. Mainly the rubbish and bin not clear. I can assure you there are 3 people now working from 7 in the morning till 5. Issue is there's nobody there after 5. And there are a lot of food outlets there. So the bins are full later on. They're only clear in the next morning. So there's a budget gap. We are trying to put some people there. We have to minimum 2 for safety reason. We're trying to get 2 people from 5 to 9 in the evening, which is hopefully we will get it. Okay, we're trying our best. Generally, like you said, who's doing it? Residents are doing it. Okay, and we need your help. We need the residents to report it. Report it to us, report to the council, fix my street. There are a number of things you can do, and your help will be appreciated. Fines, yes. The fine was 150 for normal things. Small thing is £500 now. For fly tipping, it's £1,000 now. I've done 4 case works in my ward already. They've done it, now they're fine. Now they come back to us, oh, please, do something about it. So I think we're trying our best, both carrot and, fine as well. We're trying our best, but we need your help.
Thank you, Councillor Gariwal. The gentleman at the back, please, and then you, please.
Councillor Said, you've spoken just a few minutes earlier about the encouraging of people in reliance on public transport. Can I ask you, with regards to the Department of Transport that issued already a strategy, and that already comes from the last government and being followed by this government, where they are actually encouraging people to move to electric vehicles. So when you're saying moving on to public transport, are you therefore saying that you're discouraging people against the government strategy?
Not quite, no. I mean, obviously, we are a borough that is striving for more green, using green energy, trying to restrict people using their cars as much. We can't get away with, we can't manage without public transport. People will cycle, people will walk. However, public transport is required. So it's not, we're opposing. Obviously, we try to fulfill, and we definitely do, as the Labour Party or the government requires, which is currently the Labour Party. But we have to also be very practical. People need public transport, and we have a very good public transport service in Hounslow, and I think second to none. Yeah, and our buses are green. Our buses are green. So I think that helps.
Let me clarify further point. We are not saying that people should not use the public transport. It's a very important service. But what I'm trying to say to you is, when you're saying you're actually encouraging people to move to the public transport, now there are developers in this borough who have explicitly said that the borough is not allowing people to own a vehicle. Therefore, are you saying that if someone goes to buy an electric vehicle, the council would turn around and say you're not allowed a residence parking permit because you've got a vehicle? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything at all like that. I'm saying I don't personally have that knowledge. That's not under my portfolio. So I will ask if any of the other councillors can give you a better...
Well, we have it in evidential copies of what we have referred to the borough, to the council.
Yeah.
And so far we've been told, no, that's the blanket policy.
Yeah.
And obviously you're saying something different today.
No, I'm not saying anything different. I'm saying all our buses and our transport is green as far as it can go. Okay? Things take time. Nothing happens instantaneously. But we are, as a borough, trying our best. We are one of the best boroughs in terms of how our council operates. Our leadership is wonderful in that way.
Right.
And I think you have to be patient.
The specific point I'm making is, if there are people that are seeking to find space or need to get a vehicle, they should be able to get a vehicle without being told, no, you are not allowed a vehicle. And that's the issue that there are people now facing, because they're being told that this is the council's policy. So that's what I'm asking you.
Well, I'd like to thank you for bringing that up. Okay, if you can. Councillor Gariwal.
Sorry, we will direct this to Catherine Dunn, but if I can say, no one's saying you cannot have a vehicle. What it is, if you are in the new build flats, which in your contract is written that you will not get a CPZ, what's it called, permit, that is not saying you can't buy a vehicle. That is saying you will not get a permit to park on those roads, because in your contract for the flat rental, lease or whatever, it says clearly in there you will not be issued a CPZ permit. Yeah, so you can buy a vehicle and park it 2 roads down. You can do what a council can't stop anybody buying a vehicle, whether it's an EV one or a petrol or diesel or anything, but CPZ permits can be refused, because if you are in that tower and that tower's contract says no, it will say in your lease, it's a car-free development. Car-free developments is not the council's doing either. That is another government directive, which they say that this town has got so many stations and good public transport, it's considered like a mini city, so they can have car-free developments. So you can buy a car if you like. We're not stopping you that. Thank you.
Sorry, I just would like to come back to you for a minute, please. Yeah, in 1 second. I'd just like to say, I would just like you to know that every single application is assessed based on its own merits, on the planning policies in the London plan and the Hounslow local plan. The aim is at promoting sustainable living and reducing traffic congestion and minimising pollution in the local area. Thank you. The gentleman over there, please, yes, and then the gentleman in the jacket over there, and then you.
Good evening, Councillor and everyone. Unfortunately, this is a road accident. Actually, I was travelling back from Kingston last August, and I actually fell off the bus, and I am actually trying to sue London United Busways for this, because I've just damaged my leg and I can't even walk on it. Can someone get onto this case as soon as they can? Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that's a private situation, so we are actually unable to answer.
Who do I speak to about this?
TfL. Not
TfL,
us.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much. The gentleman over there, please. Thank you.
Hello? Yes. Trevor Timpson, Lansdowne Road. I have a question about the Treaty Centre redevelopment. How many parking spaces will be allocated to the residents in that development? And is it true that the residents will be encouraged to apply for parking permits in surrounding streets? And is there any policy which would prevent the residents parking in surrounding streets that are already overcrowded at times outside the operation of the CPZ?
Thank you for that. Yes, okay, Councillor Gariwal, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the policy is a national and London policy. It says if you are developing something close to the high street, something close to the station, you can have a car-free development. The reason is we're telling people to use like bicycles, use public transport. It's not our policy, it's a national and London policy, which are telling us you can have a car-free development if you're close to the high street, okay? That's what's happening in Treaty Centre at the moment. I can't tell you the car parking or anything else because application is not in yet. They're consulting at the moment. We cannot give you any information until the application actually comes in. Okay, but we are asking for car parking, we're asking for culture center there, we're asking for art center there, we're asking for a number of things like community area, and they're listening to us, but I don't know what they're going to do until we get the application in.
The developers raise these questions. If they ask, can we park in surrounding streets during the CPZ or outside the CPZ hours, what will the council tell them?
Okay, what we're doing, we were talking to a couple of residents today about this, and the officer, the board councillors are already working with them. What we're trying to do is, at the moment, it's a bigger sort of zone. We're trying to make smaller zones, so only 5 or 6 road people living in 6 road, they can use that, not the outside people, okay? And we're also trying to extend hours. It'll be 7 days till 9 p.m. And we're hoping to get it. And I was assured by the officer today, they're working on it, and very soon we'll have another consultation. And we are actually asking them, because of people are renting properties, the return is not that great. And now we are making point to them saying that please accept the less. Like last time it was 5%, 7%. They were asking about 25, 30%, but we're asking them, come down a bit. Because of these reasons, people have got, if you go drive, you don't return that. If you are tenant, you don't bother. If you got a car, don't bother. So hopefully, they'll work with us this time, and we'll have a better sort of consultation.
Sorry, Chair, can I just add to that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah? And sorry, it will be the same thing. If it's a car-free development, it'll be the same as other places. They will not be issued CPZ permits.
Thank you. Councillor Batty.
Thank you, Chair. I did attend a consultation, and with regards to parking spaces, very limited, and it was only for disabled and those who cannot, walk easily. It's only a few spaces, but none of the others, as my colleagues have already said. Parking for ordinary people. Thank you.
Okay. The gentleman at the back, please, and then the man in the white T-shirt.
Hi, my name is Danny from Hounslow West. Thank you for your explanation about the car-free. There's one question I have it here. Car-free in Hounslow West, the entire Hounslow West, only Cavendish Garden property is car-free. Beyond that, everybody has a permit. That's number one. Number two, if you're talking about car-free, how come on a weekend, Hounslow West is crowded with the cars? What are we talking about car-free complex? What are we talking about sustainability? And only a complex, which is one complex in Hounslow West, is car-free. And rest is all have like 5 permits are allowed. I don't understand this explanation.
I think.
Excuse me, please talk through the chair. I just have a small response to you, and then some of the other councillors will address you. The Cavendish Gardens development was designated as designated car-free as part of its planning application and subsequent permission. Parking permits are not issued to addresses within car-free developments in accordance with the London plan, with the exemption of disabled parking permits which are issued. Okay, thank you, Councillor Gariwal and Councillor Chowdhury. Yeah, that's it. So does that help you at all?
Yeah, thank you, yes.
Thank you very much.
Chair, just 1 minute.
Councillor Chowdhury.
Just one comment that, you know, with the car-free development, but when you said cars are in Hounslow West, you can't stop people travelling to Hounslow West. You know, we do have really nice shops, nice restaurants there, and we're really glad that people do come and use them, and our businesses are happy that they are busy.
Can I just quick one? Yeah.
Oh yes, sorry.
Just to add on to that, that's the reason we are trying to extend hours, like CPZ hours till 9 p.m., 7 days, because people after sort of 6 p.m. or half day on Saturday, full day Sunday, they can park anywhere they like. So that's what we're trying to bring into Hounslow Central especially.
Okay.
Yes, would you like to speak at the... Yes,
sorry, I have one more point. Sorry about that. I agree with you guys about the public transport is close by in Hounslow West. And that was the reason why it was car-free complex, right? But today's present world, TFL, whether it's a bus or a train, never on time, always cancel, and it's unbelievable. People cannot reach to work properly. So why we are talking about when there is a public transport and easy facilities when it is not?
I beg to differ. I think our transport system is fabulous. I am regularly on the buses. I get to work on time. I have never, ever been late to work. And I think they run really well, particularly in this borough and within London. Our tube service is wonderful. I think we are second to none. But thank you. Excuse me, yes, at the back, please. Yep.
Hold on. Hi there. My name is Zahir Kadrian from the Safer Communities team. I've actually dealt with your complaints, and just so you know, just to give you that confidence, that I have referred it to the parking enforcement team. So there is a problem with vehicles parking on double yellow lines just opposite Hounslow West, and we've passed that on to our colleagues at parking enforcement, who have agreed to increase patrols and enforcement over the weekends and late in the afternoons. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chopra.
I just wanted to come back on the last point that you had there, Danny. Hi there. We know each other quite well. We've met many times. And there is, as you know, we have spoken before, there are many flats being built in Hounslow West and in the rest of Hounslow. And all the flats that are now going up are car-free. Unfortunately, it is in the contract. And we have spoken about that many times. It is, as my colleague said, it's not our policy. It comes from the government down to the Mayor of London. From Mayor of London, it comes to us. So it's not policies that we've created or we have any, influence on. It's the way we have to run things. Otherwise, we don't get the contracts. So there are ways of getting permits, which I've been trying to help you with, getting permits in private car parks. And I've approached some private landlords, but they didn't want to give them. That's up to them. We can't force them. But we'll carry on looking. Some of them you're saying to me, or we've discussed, you said that they're quite expensive, you didn't want to pay those rates, which is understandable. But there are opportunities and ways of doing it. So we'll carry on talking. And some of the things that my colleague here, Councillor Gurewal, was discussing, I may discuss further with him and then think about bringing that into Hounslow West as well, if we can. If that's successful, then we can move it into Hounslow West as well. That might help you further. We've discussed this many times, Danny. Well, those are the same answers I'm giving you now.
Okay, can we stop that right now, please? Could the gentleman in the white T-shirt have the mic, please?
Hello. Okay, thank you for very much your answers. I just ask you one question. In one West Hounslow, all the time is a traffic jam over there in the shops, over there very, very much busy. Why you not putting over the junction yellow boxes on the cameras, at least which people is not going over there for shopping, they can go and move over there, whatever they want to do it.
Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you. Thank you, that's fine. Sorry, so you're just talking about the building, the traffic where just on the junction where the traffic gets built up. And you're saying that we should put the yellow boxes or a camera there. I will definitely pass that on to our lead member and see what we can do on that, because I have myself seen traffic there. too much. So we'll see what we can do. Can come back to you on that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Chopra, do you have anything to add? No. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, please? The lady over there, please, if we could have the mic passed to you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Garriwer, as you know, the parking issue has been quite a problem for us, and it's something we've been discussing for some time. Could you tell us when you expect the hours to be extended to 9 o'clock in Hounslow South and Hounslow West, the road surrounding the High Street? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We had a long discussion with the officers today, and what they're doing is like you said, they're doing 2 zones first because it's a big zone, and then the second thing is extending the hours. I can't give you a time yet because they haven't actually told me when they're going to do it. But we are putting a lot of pressure on them to do it ASAP.
Thank you. The lady over there, can you take the mic, please? Yes. Thank you.
Hello. On the same issue of parking, previously you said there's a good transport line for Hounslow West as well, for us to go for work or some other jobs. So why people are, and the lady in the white, she said, evening or weekends, people should come there, and then we're getting business and all this. So why there's a difference between, when we have to go for a work, we have to take a public transport, and when they come for a fun, they have to come with the car and park, and then block everything, and then we residents cannot park, and the traffic is too much there in Hounslow West. So why there's a differential between going for a work and then for a fun time?
Thank you for your question, or your statement, rather. Actually, I don't believe that's what the councillor said, but I will let her address that.
No, thank you very much. I think you've understood it wrong, maybe. I'm sorry if you have, but it's not about fun. I'm just saying that if someone is bringing their car in, we can't stop people bringing the car in. But yes, if you talk about how we can address the traffic issue, it's just like the gentleman here has said, having a yellow box there, or maybe putting having a camera there to say there, so traffic is not built up when someone is going straight down, not just turning into the parade of shops. That's different. But when you again talk about the car-free development, like we have earlier on when we were talking about it, having kind of trying to look for a parking where you have not got a parking space and you're living within the car-free development, that's a different matter. But coming into Hounslow for shopping or getting out or going to restaurants, that's a different matter.
You said about business, like they're giving business to us. But if you come and see over the weekend, you cannot even walk on the footpath because the cars are parked double yellow line on the footpath. People cannot, if they're carrying a tram or something, you cannot even walk on those lines. So why we are talking about for a work, you take this public transport, and when it comes for a business, so that means the business is the priority, and going for a work is not a priority?
No, I'm not saying that work is not a priority and the business is a priority. I think everything is priority for myself, and I getting to work is most important as well. But when you just talk about to say the people are parking at the surrounding area, I have myself dealt with so many casework for Hounslow West where people have had their cars blocked, and if it's like front of the business, or you feel we still have our enforcement team who you can ring even on the weekend as well if you see there is a payment block or people can't walk on the pram. But with Hounslow West overall, I think we do need to look through it with the parking, which Councillor Giriwal has said. I think it's important for us to go through to see if we can either have a yellow box, extend the hours that people can't park there. But yes, people can walk and use public transport. And I've seen many people walking and using public transport just to go to Chaiwala or treats at Hounslow West. It's not that everyone is bringing the cars in just to, for example, like you've said, giving us the business, people do walk. I've walked many times just to get to treats or just to go and get my shopping, few things from Hounslow West.
Councillor Gariwal, and then Zahir, if you're able to address this gentleman after Councillor Gariwal has spoken. Thank you.
No, all I wanted to say is transport is TfL. That's not ours. And TfL do their surveys of how many residents live in the area and how many people will be using public transport. We're not forcing you to go to work on public transport. If you have a car, you take it, you walk it, you bike it. TfL is the transport people, not the council, right? The other thing, as I said, is when people come shopping, we go to Southall. It's so hard to get into Southall because of traffic, but we love going there because of the shops. We take our cars, not because Southall are asking us to or we're asking people to. People do that. They own their cars and they want to go. But transport is TfL, and they do know how much they need, and you can go to work on your car if you want.
Thank you, Councillor Gariwal. I'm not going to allow any more questions now on that topic. However, I would like Zahir to just make a comment about the crowded pavements in Hounslow West, the blocked pavements, and then no more questions on that, please.
Okay, so if you do find that there's vehicles which are blocking drives, or if they're parked on double yellows, so yes, you can go online and you can find the number for the traffic enforcement, and then they'll come out and they'll do the enforcement, and then they'll put out fixed penalty notices and parking notices. Yeah, but I can speak to you after about that, because I know that there are other issues which are affecting the gentleman, and I can speak with you after that. Yeah.
Thank you. We're not going to take any more questions for now. However, if anybody does have any questions, they can, as I have already showed you all of this, scan, and you can send it directly to our lovely community development officer over there, Amoy, if you'd like to take a bow or a wave. And she will hopefully get round to responding and giving you the answer that you would like, possibly. Okay, and now almost for the last item. This is something that we're going to try and do at every area forum, and it is called, well, we're going to call it the good news item, the community spirit, whatever. So the Hounslow Central area has some of the most engaged and supportive local groups, residents and businesses. Within our culturally rich and wonderfully diverse community, many groups, residents and businesses are quietly contributing and making an active difference locally without recognition or any self-promotion. So I'm hoping that every single area forum we will have some events or some updates about things that local groups have done without recognition. Now today I would just very briefly like to congratulate the Friends of Inwood Park and the park keeper, or the static gardener as is the correct term, but I prefer park keeper, Simon, and Jean, and all the wonderful people who really are volunteering, and I and my councillor colleague Mia have been along a couple of occasions, and they have been planting, they have been digging. I was able to do it for about 20 minutes and I was exhausted and sweating. So we can't thank them enough. So many thanks, and I think we could all give them a round of applause for the work that they do there. Thank you. I would just like to say that this Saturday, Inwood Park, from 11 onwards, there is a party in the park. This is Inwood Park. There is food, and if anybody would like to contribute anything else, you are more than welcome to do that. And I'd just like to say, I think something that's a love. Again, I've been able to witness it or participate, although I am without a dog. They have a little dog walking groups, particularly over the weekend, and it's a very informal little get-together. There's dogs galore, all shapes, sizes, ages, every type of breed there. And the residents and the park keepers just get together, have a little chit-chat, walk around. So I would encourage those of you who perhaps would like to walk your dogs and have a little chat sometimes, please go along, because they're extremely welcoming. So thank you once again to the Friends of Inwood Park. Round of applause, please. And yeah, I would just like to say that if before the next area forum, anybody here has any suggestions or events, please email and let us know, and then we can advertise it here. And now Councillor Chopra would like to say something.
On that same note, the park in Hounslow West called Beaversfield Park was this year awarded the 15th time running in 15 years a Green Flag Award, which is an award they get for very good park, for sustainability, for the usage and all the beautiful flowers, trees and everything else that's there. So it's very environmentally friendly, it's very family friendly, and I just want to congratulate them for 15 years of Green Flag Awards.
Okay, I'll just wait. Yes, then
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Councillor
just to
Berman.
add on to that, we are second best in London for our parks.
Thank you. And I also forgot to mention that the wonderful Inwood Park has received for 16 consecutive years a Green Flag Award. So well done again. 16 years we won. And Councillor Umair now has an announcement.
Yeah, just on activities, there's also a music festival event for those close to the Feltham area. It's on the 16th August, 12 noon to 10 p.m. So for those of you interested, it's a family event. I believe the Mayor of Hounslow will be attending, as well as some of us local councillors.
Okay, thank you. I will get to the final bit of the evening. Any other urgent business? Right, well, thank you all so much for attending. And the next meeting will be in September. And I have, the 11th of September. And would you all please fill in all the feedback forms over there? We'd be really appreciative because we always need to learn how we can improve our area forums. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
I think Emma want to add something.
And Amoy, please feel free.
Oh, hello. Hi, thank you everyone. So as the chair mentioned, if you could just fill in the form, be really honest, it's completely anonymous. Again, we just want to try and make things a lot better for you guys and take your feedback. Also outside, there is a QR code for the Let's Talk page. Again, you can add your suggestions online and you can also email us directly. So thank you guys very much. Have a good evening.